AFC World Cup qualifying is back. Everyone, it's your boy Hokage, and this is the first edition of the fourth round of AFC World Cup qualifying in this new format for the extended 48-team World Cup. After these games are played, only two teams will be going to the World Cup, and one team will be going to the fifth round international qualification playoff to make it to USA, Mexico, Canada 2026. AFC, man, big games this week. Big games. A lot of these teams have not been to World Cups. A lot of these teams are not historical World Cup not World Cup winning, but a lot of these teams aren't historical World Cup participating nations. So two are going through, and I'll tell you right now, only one of these teams left in qualifying is a traditional, or not even somewhat traditional World Cup participant, and that's Saudi Arabia. Besides that, another team that we typically do not see go to the World Cup will definitely be going, whether it's Oman, Indonesia, UAE, Iraq, all those kinds of countries that are left in round four qualifying. Big chance. And another one of those teams will be going to the international playoff position to get to the World Cup as well. So, to guys like me, to other people, these matches may seem insignificant, but to the people from these countries, it means a shit ton. Because I know what it's like. I was a fan of Team Melli when we wouldn't make every single World Cup. Now Iran is in a position where we will probably make every World Cup unless we could catastrophically fail ourselves in qualifying. But there was a time when Iran wouldn't make the World Cups all the time, and qualifying was the highlight of the year, the biggest pressure moment of the year as a fan. So we're going to go through the matches. We're going to go through the groups. I'm going to give my prediction on who I think is going to be going to the World Cup first place from both these groups and who I think is going to be going to the international playoff spot for the fifth round qualifying. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. And I just need to be really brutally honest. Now we're going to go through all the matches here, and then we'll go to the group, and I'll make my group prediction. But I need to be brutally honest. We need to be honest. I know, AFC fans may not want to hear this, but this is a stinky lineup of teams. You guys, this is not good. This is not good. Now, I'm not being lazy and saying, oh, just these teams by name aren't good, so AFC sucks. What I mean by this lineup of teams is stinky is that none of these teams are on good form. None of these teams have played good football, maybe besides Iraq. But outside of Iraq, which is maybe, all of these teams here haven't played good football in months. I mean, I can't tell you the last time I went away from an Oman game and been like, oh, yeah, there's something building here. Qatar, Saudi, Indonesia for sure. UAE, maybe a little bit. The quality is not there. So if you're looking for high quality football matches, you're not going to get it here. You're not going to get it here. And that's not just AFC. That's like that for every confederation. But yeah, I am not expecting really good games in terms of the quality from any of these matchups, to be honest. So if that's what you're looking for, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. But anyway, these are the games that we have to play. In fact, actually, as a refresher, in case you guys didn't know or you don't remember, these are the two round four qualifying groups. In Group A for round four, you have Oman, Qatar, and UAE. And in Group B, you have Indonesia, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. And if you don't know how it works again, if you're an idiot, each team will play each other twice in the group. Or no, each team will play the other team once in the group. And basically, if you get your 2 wins, you go to the World Cup. That's kind of basically how it works for each group. And then the best third place team from the two groups, or the best second place team from the two groups, goes on to the international qualifier. So, little quick recap. Those are the groups. Let's get to the matches. Let me zoom back in. And let's start yapping. Oman, Qatar. Now, Qatar, the Asia Cup champions. Like, this is the crazy thing about it. Like, they just scammed that Asia Cup. It pisses me off that Qatar just scammed an Asia Cup again. Like, how is that possible? How can these be our Asian champions? That's embarrassing for AFC. I think I said it in my last couple of AFC videos. It's embarrassing for the Asian Confederation that the Asia Cup champions are so poor So trash. The football unconvincing. They rely on 2, 3 players in the squad to carry them. Almos Ali, Akram Afif, the freaking Brazilian guy Mendes in the back. Basically, 3 players, in my opinion, are the spine and carry this Qatar team. And when they aren't playing well, this Qatar team sucks. They stink. They smell more than the garbage in my bathroom. So horrible team. And even, they thought bringing a guy like Julian Lopetegui would have fixed things. Sorry, I just realized my face is in the way. They thought a guy like Julian Lopetegui would come and fix things. Julian Lopetegui hasn't done anything. So just more proof to you guys that you don't, for countries outside of Europe, your Africa, countries from the continent of Africa, from North America, Central America, Asia. You don't need European fancy coaches to do well. You need a coach that knows your football, knows your players, and knows how to get the best of them. Julian Lopetegui has not. Julian Lopetegui has done none of that for Qatar. And then Oman side of things, again, like their form isn't really great as well. If you just want to click on Oman's form, 1-1 to Palestine, 3-0 to Jordan. They lost. They won Lebanon barely. They won Kuwait barely. I guess their best result in the last 5 is this draw right here against South Korea. But even then, we know South Korea recently just hasn't been this cohesive, strong unit. They struggled a little bit during World Cup qualifiers in the round 3 stage. So, yeah. If, I don't know what to say. And then you have Indonesia versus Saudi Arabia. I'm done trusting Indonesia. I'm done. And you guys, there's some whole thing happening with Indonesia. Something about 7 players not being eligible, being banned or suspended, their passports, whatever, the heritage thing. The whole thing that Indonesia brought their heritage players into the national team setup. I guess some of them were invalid. But again, then I heard that the sources that came out reporting that were false. So I have no idea what's going on in Indonesia. Ever since they sacked Shin Tae-young and brought in Kluivert as the head coach and then brought a bunch more Dutch players into the team, I knew there was something sketchy going on there. I didn't know. I didn't have the highest confidence in Indonesia after that point. And then on Saudi Arabia's side, they made a coaching change during round 3 qualifying. Renard came back. And like I said in my previous videos, I thought Renard would be coming back in the Saudi setup. Remember, he was the coach of the Saudi Arabia national team at the 2022 World Cup, the team that beat Argentina in that opening group game. But, he hasn't had that like new manager bounce. You know what I mean? That new manager bounce that I thought he would have. They've came back. They've lost to USA and Mexico. I think those are bad losses. USA and Mexico are not great teams. They tied to Trinidad and Tobago. I just wanted to come here to Renard. To Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Renard was the coach of Morocco at the 2018 World Cup. And then, 2022 World Cup, the last World Cup. So I was right about that. I was just checking that on the screen real quick. I don't want to misinform the viewers. But, Saudi Arabia haven't had the new manager bounce that I thought they would have, especially with a familiar face coming into the coaching role. So, again, I have no idea what to make of these games. Now, if I'm to predict these 2 games, I honestly think Oman and Qatar draw. And you know what? I'll back Indonesia to get that win at home. Because this is being played. Yeah, this is being played in Indonesia, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, it's in Saudi Arabia. It's in Jeddah. It's in Saudi. So, guys. Oh, never mind. I'm going Saudi because if there's something I learned about this Indonesia team, they're in qualifying. I don't trust these dudes in away fixtures or anything. So Indonesia, they're gonna lose to Saudi, and I'm gonna go Oman and Qatar drawing. UAE versus Oman. UAE versus Oman. That's a tough one. That's really tough. But you know what? I think I'd go Oman losing to UAE here because honestly, like I said at the beginning of this video, the 2 teams that I have the most trust in this qualifying round 4 is UAE and Iraq. These are the two teams I have the most trust in. Not because they're way better, not because their form has been better, but UAE and Iraq's overall performances in round two qualifying, in round three qualifying for this World Cup have been better overall compared to all these teams. So honestly, I think UAE will have the confidence to beat Oman, and I think Iraq totally will destroy Indonesia. And I think Indonesia is going to take those two L's and they won't be going to the World Cup. And it's a shame because then you're going to be asking, if you're an Indonesia fan, you have to be asking yourself, what if we never sacked Shin Tae-yeon? What if we never did that? Well, you're going to start going through these what ifs. If your team is playing well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Indonesia changed the coach out at a time when it wasn't broken. So if Indonesia do not qualify for this World Cup, I'm sure the Indonesian Federation, the people who work there, the fans, Indonesian football fans, they will be having those what if scenarios. So yeah, Iraq, I think too strong will beat Indonesia, and UAE, I think this will be a close game, but I think I just have more trust in UAE's overall form the last year to get this job done against Oman. And then the final two games of round four qualifying will be Qatar versus UAE, Saudi Arabia versus Iraq. And if the results go as I say and Qatar tie to Oman and Oman lose to UAE, and then it's Qatar versus UAE in this third game, this would be to decide who goes to the World Cup. UAE versus Qatar. Now, where is this being played? Where is this being played? Jassim bin Hamad Stadium, which is located in Doha, which is located in Qatar, obviously. So that's such a tough game. And the way it's actually going to shape out. Okay, this is interesting. Do you think the Confederation purposely drew the matches like this? Because if we're being honest, if the games play out how they're supposed to play, this final day here with Qatar versus UAE and Saudi Arabia and Iraq on Tuesday, October 14th, these final games here will both be World Cup deciding games. Qatar versus UAE, whoever wins this game most likely will be going to the World Cup. Saudi versus Iraq, whoever wins this game most likely will be going to the World Cup. So that's actually interesting. I didn't realize that. But after I've talked through the games and how I think they will go, this final day it's going to be really exciting. Now, I said don't be expecting great football, but you can expect big drama on this last day. If the rest of the fixtures go to how I think they will, huge day here, October 14th. Big history to be made for some teams here. Iraq and UAE. Now, Qatar. I just don't think they deserve to. I don't think they deserve to go to the World Cup. I understand that the Asia Cup champions. I understand that they're back to back. It's embarrassing, but they are back to back. And yeah, they were at the last World Cup. They hosted the last World Cup. But I think UAE, for what they are, the team they have, the football they play as well. I think in general, UAE plays better football than Qatar. I think UAE plays better football than Qatar in general over the last 1 or 2 years. They do. So if there's a team I'd like to see go to the World Cup, it's UAE. Now, who do I think will win this game? That would probably be the World Cup decider. I just have to trust. I have to back Qatar. And you know why I have to back Qatar? Because as much as I complain about them being lazy, embarrassing Asia Cup defending champions, horrible representation of Asian football, as much as I say all these things about Qatar, what I can't take away after the last 7, 8 years, or no, sorry, what I can't take away from the last 5, 6 years from this Qatari national team is that they have players that no matter how well they're playing, they will show up in the big moments. And Qatar versus UAE for the deciding factor on who goes to the World Cup, that's a big boy match. That is a big boy match. And I think because of that experience in the big games, I will not be surprised if an Akram Afif dribbles past the whole team and scores a goal. I will not be surprised if Almos Ali decides to show up and learn how to score goals again. I will not be surprised. So for that reason, I will back Qatar in this potential World Cup deciding game against UAE. And that means UAE would be getting second place. And then Saudi Arabia versus Iraq. I think for the Asia Cup they had. Now, Saudi was the less impressive team at Asia Cup last year over Iraq. Iraq was more impressive. Which team do I want to see at the World Cup? Honestly, Iraq. I have to be honest, Iraq, because I've seen Saudi at the last World Cup. Yes, they beat Argentina. Great moment. I just don't see them doing anything at this World Cup. I can't even trust them in the new 48 team format. I can't trust them to get to the round of 32. Now, a team like Iraq, who has a lethal goal scoring striker, that's a team I could trust. At least more than Saudi. But it doesn't matter who I trust. It doesn't matter who I think will do better at the World Cup. It matters who will win this game. And with this game, Saudi, are they at home again? They're at home again. Saudi playing both their games at home. I think Saudi get it done. I think Saudi goes to the World Cup, and Iraq would be going to finish in second place, not automatically qualifying. Now, if I'm predicting Qatar and Saudi Arabia to go through to the World Cup and automatically qualify from round 4, and if I'm saying Oman get 1 point, UAE gets 3 points, Iraq gets 3 points, it would come down to goal difference between Iraq and UAE, and I think I'd back Iraq. I think I'd back Iraq. Yeah, I think I'd back Iraq. So Qatar and Saudi, like genuinely, like I feel like this is why I didn't like the 48 team expanded World Cup. This is why I didn't like it. Because if we're being honest, we want to send a good representation of Asian football to the World Cup. We do. I can trust Japan to go put some respect on our name. I can trust Australia. I can trust South Korea. I can't trust Iran. They keep getting knocked down the group stages. They can't even make the knockout stages. And those teams, Japan, South Korea, Australia, made it to the knockout stages. They made it to the knockout stages in the old 32-team format where it was harder to go through. Now with the 48-team format where 8 of the 12 third-place teams go through to the round of 32 knockout stage, it's just too easy. Now, yeah, I just feel like Qatar, none of these teams on this screen, besides maybe Iraq, none of these teams on the screen, in my opinion, deserve to go to the World Cup. They haven't played good football. They don't get the results. They don't have the players. So it's just tough. But anyway, it's the 48-team World Cup format. I still don't mind it. Let's see how it plays out next summer. But yeah, I just wouldn't have a lot of faith in any of these teams going into World Cup 2026. I think, yeah, like I just said, Iraq is probably the team I would trust the most. And I don't think the way the matches are set up here, the way I think the games are going to go, I don't think they're going to get that automatic qualification spot. I think it's going to go to Qatar and Saudi Arabia. And it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, I don't mind. Saudi, they've made a couple World Cups now, so they're slowly becoming regulars. And with the new 48-team format, I think Saudi's goal is definitely to never miss another World Cup ever again. That's for sure. So it would be actually a huge catastrophe for Saudi. I feel like if after all the investment into sports that the country has done to boost their economy, with the boxing, with bringing games to Saudi, all that, with the UFC, MMA going to Saudi. I believe they had a Saudi UFC card, right? A Saudi UFC card. Let me just double check. Yeah, they had a Saudi UFC card this year. Yeah, it was Adesanya versus Imavov. Adesanya got KO'd. So it would be a big disappointment for Saudi to not go to the World Cup and not be consistent participants at the World Cup, especially now that there's 48 teams, especially. Again, I've spoken about this in other videos. All the investment has gone into their league. Now, I know a lot of investment has gone into the Saudi Pro League towards big boy players from Europe, bringing in washed players from Europe. I understand that. But you have to think by all that money invested, it does trickle down to the grassroots and improve Saudi Arabian footballers as well. You have to believe that there has to be some net positive effect on Saudi's grassroots football. You have to believe that. I'd like to believe it, or else what else is all that money for if it's not to enrich your own people and enrich your own sportsmen? I don't know. It'd be weird. But anyway, yeah. The shorter AFC World Cup qualifying video, because there's not that many games, not that many groups, not that many matches to cover. So we're gonna cap this here at 20 minutes. It's been your boy Hokage. Good luck to all your teams, because I know if you're Indonesian, if you're Saudi, shout out to Zir Talks. If you're for Qatari, Iraqi, whatever. For me, I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy these games. But I know for you guys, it's nerve-wracking. You're not going into these games with a smile on your face. You are scared out of your mind. You're scared shitless. I used to be in that position, man. You know, I would have to go to the playoffs to get to the World Cup. I would have to watch those games at 3 a.m. You know what I mean? So I've been in your shoes. So good luck. And remember, if your team goes through, great. If your team doesn't, it's just life, man. It's just football. We're just kicking a ball around here. It's not that serious. You know, when the times are good, be grateful. When the times are bad, be gracious. It is what it is. Yeah, it's boy Hokage. Good to talk about AFC again. World Cup qualifying. World Cup qualifying is almost over, and then we're gonna be getting into pre-World Cup content soon. Pre-World Cup content. It's crazy. Time is flying. Enjoy it. It's been your boy Hokage. Good luck to your teams. I'll see you guys for the post-match reaction and recap after the AFC World Cup qualifying games are done. I'll see you guys then. Peace.